Welcome to the Bible in Fewer Words. We are Carole and Steve Wells, and we'd like to introduce the podcast to you. Steve, how did we get here?
It's taken a while. It really started more than 30 years ago.
Can we remember that far back?
Yeah, well, back then I read the Bible.
Really?
Yeah, I read the Bible for the first time.
I had never read the Bible. Most people, I think, would say that too.
Yeah, I tried. I wanted to read it and started, but I just couldn't make it. I got stuck in Leviticus.
That is a tough one.
Yeah, it is. But this time I made it. And as I was going, I was just pretty shocked by what I read. And I decided, well, I will just highlight the things that interest me.
Or that were troubling.
Yeah, and classify into different categories. And before I got very far into it, I decided it would be a good idea to try to do this in a book form.
Oh, so to make what you were discovering available for others.
Yeah, I wanted to present a Bible intended for someone who was just interested in the Bible. They didn't have any particular, they didn't know what to make of it. And so I had different categories like absurdity, things that contradicted science, things that were good, things that would be interesting to women.
Interesting is an interesting word.
Yeah.
You mean bad stuff that they say about women and how they should be treated?
A lot of it was misogyny, but anything that was really relevant to women or to family values, I included. Things that I thought were cruel, and things that I thought were good. And so I ended up with about a dozen categories and started highlighting the Bible. And then I thought, well, I should publish a book that highlights all the things that would be of interest to someone who is trying to evaluate the Bible for the first time, really, just to make sense of it without going at it from a belief or unbelief standpoint, just what's in it. I think it was intended for anyone who had never had the time to read the Bible and wanted to see what was in it. So I was trying to point out all the things that they would be interested in.
Okay. And has that project evolved? What does that project look like now?
Well, I went through and created, this was before the internet.
Okay.
So it was back in the 90s. I got it all ready to go for publication, but I couldn't find a publisher.
Too expensive.
Too expensive. I was using colors and things, and I just couldn't find anyone that was interested. And then there was the question, well, why would you do it? You're not a Bible scholar, and I'm not a Bible scholar. I'm just a regular person who's read the Bible and was kind of interested in what he found and trying to make that information available to others, help them understand the Bible.
Mm-hmm. So then what happened?
Well, then the internet came along, and I knew it would work there.
Yeah.
So I created a website called The Skeptic's Annotated Bible in 1999.
Were you a webmaster at the time?
I knew nothing about it. I don't know too much about it now.
So how did you do this?
Well, I just started creating some HTML, some very simple HTML files, and just kept adding to it. So I got the text of the Bible. Uh-huh. I got some notes on the side and presented it on the web.
Okay.
As the Skeptic's Annotated Bible.
And about how many HTML pages?
Probably 10 or 20,000 pages, web pages to maintain.
Sounds clunky.
It is. It was. Yeah, it was very clunky at first, and it evolved over time. And eventually I got to a format that I think worked fairly well. Uh-huh. But it took a long time. And really, it was just this last effort that I've gone through. The last time I thoroughly revised the website, I decided that rather than just highlighting the verses that were interesting, I would try to summarize what the Bible was actually saying.
So a person just kind of reading and saying, well, this is what that's saying.
Yeah, so I used the King James Version of the Bible for the basic text, which is a little hard to read.
Very hard to read.
But there's no copyright restrictions on it, so that's what I went with. And a lot of people still use the King James Version today. So I went with that. But the side notes put it in modern English, and it also puts it in fewer words.
Okay.
So I tried to summarize what was going on in the Bible in every chapter of the Bible, so that the visitor to the website could very quickly get an idea of what was going on with the Bible. And so I went through that, and that's where the idea for this came from. And the idea didn't come from me.
So the idea for a condensed or summarized version of either...
At first, it was as summarized. We were thinking, well, why not just take the side notes, which condense or summarize what's going on in the Bible in modern English and something people could understand. Why don't we just take that and publish it in book form? But that was not my idea.
I thought that.
That was your idea. You were my editor. You were going through and editing it, and you had the idea.
Yeah, because that's mostly what I was reading at the side notes, and it would tell me what the story was about. And I thought, oh, well, this is what people should be doing.
Right, and then we would start discussing it, because you'd say, well, I don't quite get this. Maybe I wasn't explained well enough, and so we kind of worked. It was very helpful for me to figure out whether or not I was making it clear enough while you were editing it. And so we would get discussing it, and then when we got discussing it, we realized, well, this would be a fun thing to do as a podcast.
Mm-hmm. I remember actually recording you on my phone when we were just talking about it.
That's right. That was the first time we ever even considered it. I guess you must have had it in mind when you did that.
I did.
Yeah, isn't that illegal in Idaho?
That I'm
Taking
recording
somebody without their knowledge?
I think only one person has to know that the tape that's being recorded.
And you knew?
I knew.
Okay.
Okay, so that's what we have here.
That's where the Bible in fewer words came from.
And that's what we're presenting to you.
Right.
And we enjoy doing it.
Yes. One thing the Bible is definitely not, when you condense it down into its basic story, it's not boring.
No.
It's very interesting, I think.
And because you've removed the boring parts. So
that's right.
You're not talking about those.
Yeah, there's a lot of boring things in the Bible, but we're not going to be covering them.
Uh-huh.
For instance, in 1 Chronicles, where the first 9 chapters is just genealogy. Just so-and-so begat so-and-so begat so-and-so for 9 whole chapters. We'll cover it, but we're certainly not going to be reading them.
No.
And there's also a lot of stories that are repeated in various places in the Bible. The Bible is very verbose. The Bible uses 100 words, sometimes when 10 would do. In fact, sometimes it uses 100 words when no words are necessary at all.
So we're bringing you this service.
Yeah, so I think on the whole, we'll probably reduce it by about a quarter of the words. But it'll be the Bible. We're going to include the whole Bible and nothing but the Bible. But it'll be in fewer words.
Mm-hmm.